There's nothing quite like a top-quality open-world space game. Everspace 2 then is the newest title heading into that territory, and from what I've seen so far, it's looking like it's going to be a good one. A while ago, developers Rockfish Games announced Everspace 2, a sequel to the original that was released a few years ago. One of the most surprising things about the announcement was that Everspace 2 is going to be set in a persistent open world, and this is a massive change from the original, which was a roguelike. Everspace 2 basically takes everything that made Everspace 1 great and shoves it into an open world. So that's the flight mechanics, the combat, the ships, and just about everything else. Most of those things though have also been improved, and a whole lot of other things have also been added into the game. In the background you can see footage of me playing Everspace 2, as Rockfish Games were kind enough to send me over a copy of the demo build of Everspace that had been playable at the recent game conventions such as Gamescom and PAX. In this video then, I will talk about my experience with the demo, as well as the Everspace 2 Kickstarter campaign, and you can find a link to the Kickstarter page in the video description. So, the crowdfunding campaign is a good place to begin here. Despite just how good the demo looks and plays right now, the full game is still a long way off, with a proposed September 2020 release date. The demo, which is essentially a prototype, gives a very strong feel and a good indication of what can be expected. The Kickstarter then is aimed at allowing Rockfish Games to undertake this work. Now, not everyone is a fan of Kickstarter, and that is entirely understandable for a multitude of different reasons. For those of you that do like to get involved though with crowdfunding, Rockfish Games have a proven track record with the first Everspace. Let's talk a bit more then about what type of game Everspace 2 actually plans to be. I mentioned earlier that the game will build significantly upon the original, and the persistent open world nature of the game opens up huge possibilities. Rockfish described the game as a hack-and-slash action RPG set in space. As with the traditional loot-based RPGs, Everspace will have classes, skills and talents. And you'll also be able to collect multiple ships and swap between them during your play sessions, and this was something I quickly discovered in the demo. I begin here with my initial journey in a weapons-focused interceptor. Heading out, I killed a few enemies, collected some loot, and then returned back to my home base. And here you can store your loot and swap out to other ships. Taking out the slightly heavier Sentinel, I decided to go and explore the rest of the star system. Outside of the main base, there were all manner of things to explore, from small asteroid clusters to zones of metal debris. Hidden amongst this were containers and various other resources, and all of these can be collected. The sense of exploring these areas is very nice indeed, bolstered of course by the great graphics. Travelling comes in multiple forms of speed. Regular travel, which you will use in combat or just from getting to A to B or just exploring these little clusters you can see here. You can also use your afterburner or booster here. Now if you want a little more speed, then there's cruise mode, which allows you to travel multiple kilometers very rapidly. And then when you want to go some significant distances, there is travel mode. This is essentially a faster than light travel and allows you to move between planets, bases and other zones. The demo also shows a jump gate that links directly to another star system. However, within the demo, this jump gate was actually inoperable. However, it clearly conveys, along with the map, the intention to make Everspace 2 a large, sprawling game with multiple systems. The Kickstarter mentions that Everspace 2 will feature over 100 different locations, and some of these will be fixed locations, which will be built from handcrafted assets as well as procedural generation. The developers also suggest that some locations will change over time, for example becoming damaged or repaired. Temporary areas will also be a feature, and these ones will be entirely procedurally generated and will offer different types of missions and other activity. Talking of which, as I was travelling around near various asteroids or coming across various bases, I was encouraged by the NPCs in those areas to actually undertake missions for them. In some cases this was repairing gas leaks, in other cases it was repairing or hunting down other enemies. Now Planetary Services are also going to be a thing. These will be some locations you'll be able to visit or have combat over. Although these don't feature in the demo, you can see some short footage of them from the Kickstarter page. Exploration and combat then naturally lead to loot, and apparently Everspace 2 will have a whole ton of loot, and these will come in the form of new weapons, modules and resources, all of which can be used to improve your various ships. Rockfish Games haven't specifically stated just how many ships Everspace 2 will actually have, but it seems as though the number will be pretty high, and all of them will be fully customizable. So yep, it certainly seems that Everspace 2 is aiming high, and from what I've seen of the demo so far, it's certainly built on some very strong concepts. I'll be back later in the week with a live stream of the demo, so if you want to see more, do come along. For now though, do check out the Kickstarter page if you're interested in taking a look at that. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.